Okay, this is Orlando Wilson. And what I want to talk about in this video is an aspect of the close protection business a lot of people don't talk about, or don't want to talk about, or don't like to talk about. But it's something that you can bump into pretty often. It happens a lot more than people think. And this is where, when you're dealing with clients or you're associating with people that might have problems stemming from their political affiliations, or they have issues with government agencies. Let me give you an example. When we're talking about political affiliations, you can be looking after somebody that's a politician or into politics, and the opposition to your, let's say, client might not be too happy with what he's doing, etc., etc. And I've always said this is where a lot of people think in the close protection business, if you're looking after a client, it's only the bad guys or the opposition people will only be after that client. Well, the thing is, if you're associated with the client, they could be after you as well. The easiest way to target a client is to get to his security. If you get to somebody's security, you've disabled his security, they have no security, or you infiltrated their security, the person that should be being protected has no security. So this is where, if you're managing somebody's security, managing a client's security, you have to be very wary who you're hiring, especially if it's contract staff for short periods of time. Why? Because they could be working for the opposition. Okay, let me give you a couple of examples, and one example I'll get to after this one is a prime example which you all know about. Okay, I was looking through the news, I don't know, I think a couple of years ago now, in South Florida in the US, where I spent too much time. And there was a story that popped up that a woman was having arguments with the city mayor, etc. There was like small town politics going on, which a lot of times are more dirty than big time politics. Why? Because everybody wants to be elected, everybody wants to get into government, because then they control the contracts, right? It's all about money and influence and egos and everything else, mainly egos. Anyway, I take it this lady had put on social media, she was going to attend one of the events, one of the city events, and she was going to be wearing a specific t-shirt to protest the mayor or somebody in local government. Apparently, I'm not going to name the city, but it's a city in South Florida. Apparently, she got a call from the police chief from that city telling her if she turned up wearing the t-shirt, she could be arrested for whatever reasons. And they said she was going to be causing, I don't know, whatever reasons they can come up with. I'm not too up to high speed on the US laws. But again, this is, I say about America, you can be arrested for anything. If people don't like you, you can be arrested. And this is what a lot of people don't understand about the US, especially when you're dealing with city police departments, etc. They're working for the mayor of that town, that city. So if the mayor asked them to do something, they should do it. A lot of times I've got examples where they didn't, but a lot of times the police chiefs will go with the mayor and do what he wants them to do, because if not, it's their jobs on the line. He's hiring, he's firing, he's paying the bills, etc., etc. So apparently the police chief phoned up this lady and said, don't wear this t-shirt to this event, or else you're going to be breaching this law, that law, etc., and you can get arrested. It sounds pretty strange coming from supposed land of the free, where a lady can be told not to wear a specific t-shirt criticizing somebody to an event because people don't like it. The other issues then is when you get involved with, let's say you're an associate of that lady, you're vocal as that lady is, you're having issues, they're having issues with the mayor, etc. Okay, then you can have issues with permitting. You can get code inspectors turn up to check your house, check your office, etc. You can get random fire inspections. A lot of strange things can happen. You can start getting pulled over a lot by the police for minor traffic violations, and the minor traffic violations can escalate into bigger traffic violations, etc., etc. And this happens. So this is where from, let me just jump up one. A good example of people that's having political issues, whether you like him or not, is former President Trump. You imagine now you're providing security for him, or you're part of his security detail. Would the powers that be, would the IRS, etc., be looking at you, looking at your books, and looking at ways that could possibly trip you up unless you help them? Possibly. That's how it works in a lot of places. I think you can take it for granted anybody that's associated with Trump these days is being looked into for any possible violation of the law that can be found, be it criminal or civil, and they're looking at potentially being sued. Now imagine you're the security company that's providing him services, or you're the private investigators that's been working on his behalf. Are you going to be looked into by the authorities? Yes. Have you done anything wrong? Most probably not if you're providing legal services, but the fact is you can still be looked into. You can have issues with licensing. You can have licenses revoked. You can have issuings of licenses delayed. You can have tax audits. You can have, as I said, fire inspections of your office, inspections of your office, etc. So I hope you see where I'm going with this. So that's just two little examples. Now you think about this from the protection point of view. If you're providing security to a client that has issues with government agencies or involved in politics, you need to be very aware of strange things happening. You also need to ensure that everything you do is 150% legal. You need to ensure your taxes are paid and you have a very good accountant taking care of your taxes. You need to ensure that if you have an office, in some places you legally must have an office, all your paperwork's up to date, your permits, your occupational permits, your work licenses, your firearms permits, your security permits, everything is 100%. Because if you get a snap inspection, again, you can end up having problems, you can end up losing your licenses, you can end up getting fined. And one thing leads to another thing. This is where if you're dealing with clients like that are involved in politics or other issues with government agencies, you need to be sharp. You need to make sure everything you do is 100% legal and take it for granted you're being looked at. It can be, I would say, the main threat to that type of client is not just, okay, we've always got physical assault, etc., but the main problem to a client like that is going to be, we're back down to what they're posting on social media, whether their offices, whether their homes have listening devices in them, cameras in them, etc., whether they're being followed, if they're up to anything that's illicit, like having extramarital affairs, etc., they need to be extremely careful, because if that's found out, it could be used to blackmail them, etc. So this is where that type of thing happens. They're difficult clients to deal with, but the main thing is, from a protection point of view, you must make sure everything you do is 100% legal and all your paperwork is up to date. If that client does have major legal issues, you can take it for granted that if they're arrested for whatever reason, you're possibly looking at being arrested as well, and you need to make sure you have all your ducks in a row. This is where I've got another video. I think I mentioned in another video I was dealing with a client years ago that was possibly under indictment. And he asked me once to go to dinner with him and his accountant to sit at the same table, etc. I said, I'll wait outside. Everything I was doing was 100% legal. He had major tax issues. And it's like, I don't want to hear what you're talking about with your accountant. A lot of times, I was there for his physical security. I'm not interested in what he was doing tax-wise or what deals he's trying to cut with his accountant. If anybody came to me afterwards and said, okay, what do you know? I'd happily tell them I was sat outside the restaurant. I didn't listen to anything. I didn't want to know anything. I was doing my job. My job was this person's physical security. His other dealings were none of my business. I think everything worked out from in the end. But again, this is where it's not just the threats from physical assault we want to be looking at when we pick up clients. And again, a lot of clients can cause you problems. So when you're taking on a client, you want to look at all the problems they can possibly cause you. If they're causing you a lot of problems, then you know what, your fee needs to go up and you need to be ready to deal with those problems. The guys and girls that say, oh, it's never happens to me, they're the ones that's going to have the major problems. You need to be prepared for all the possible problems you can encounter and have plans and procedures in place to deal with those problems. And again, there's other things I could talk about with dealing with such clients, but I'll save that for another video. In the meantime, follow me along on social media. I got a lot more videos already up, and there's going to be more videos going up in the future. I also have an array of books on on Amazon that talks about a wide variety of aspects of the security business, also crime fiction. So follow me along, and if you're connected with me on social media and you have any questions, reach out. I'm happy to answer any of your questions as long as they're relevant. In the meantime, be good, stay safe, and stay out of trouble.